coated it off.
And you want the other half? As usual?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you, though.
Fine. I'll be the patty this morning. It's cool.
Why is it not letting me make this full screen? You have yours muted. So we should be good to go.
You have any part of the donut? Good.
I should go get a blanket.
You have to bring you a pullover in for this place.
The fall is my favorite. You gave me a choice, go north, go south, I'm going north.
Sledding, we were out in it, for hours, I loved it. As I've gotten older, I'm just like,
We've been hanging outside just at night. Okay, but I didn't got a fan going there.
I was cutting the dog's hair yesterday.
I am freezing. Y'all,
It is freezing in here.
I know.
It's only 70.
I don't
Make
know.
sure y'all stay awake. It's cold.
That's the way to do it.
I'm just gonna stay bundled up.
All right, let me get everybody in, then we'll get this party started.
We having a party?
Every time we get together. All right.
Do I need to?
So, how's everybody doing today?
Good.
Tired?
Is it
Stay up.
echoing?
Busy. No, it's just been busy.
You might have to mute that computer.
I did mute it. It's echoing though.
Is that better? Yeah, I think that's better now. All right, so who's got some wins? Who's got a win over the last week? If you're online, just put it in chat or unmute yourself, or in person. Who's got some wins over the last week?
I was closing with Kelly today.
Yes.
Nice, congratulations.
Yeah. I've gotten 3 pending over the last 4 or 5 days, and
Dang.
another offer this morning.
Heck yeah, good
That's why I
job.
was here so early, because I just showed up when we were in town.
Heck yeah, there you go. Awesome.
That's why I'm behind.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Who online has a what's that say? Oh, that's that computer. Who online has a win? Anybody? Make sure my volume.
I got a really solid expired listing lead that was a high dollar property, I guess I'd say.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's definitely a win. The listings are the name of the game, of course. So good job on that. All right, let's go ahead and dive into our numbers. Looking first at Owensboro, we do have updated numbers through July 26th, as you all know. Tomorrow is the last day of the month, so pretty good snapshot on how we're going to finish. And one of the things I wanted to point out is, as far as Owensboro goes, is through the 26th, we're already at 134 sales, which is listings sold, of course. That's 5 more than we did in the month of June, and it looks like we're going to pass the month of May. So that little slumber is what I'm calling it that we were in, that little market slowdown that we all talked about a lot. Looks like it's kind of starting to pick back up in July. So that's really good news. In regards to days on market, those continue to drop while inventory really overall is staying the same. You can see we had 286 listings at the end of May, 280 in June, and then 284 in July as well. So inventory staying pretty level. Most markets it's actually going up, but we're staying fairly level here. In regards to Evansville, it cut off a little bit at the bottom, but that's 2,693. So it's going to be pretty close on whether or not they hit the numbers that they hit in June. The days on market continues to trend down, which is really interesting because you see for the month, they're basically around 40 days on market, about 8 less than they were in May or June. But what's really interesting, if you look at their inventory is kind of going up ever so slightly. And typically when inventory goes up, days on markets doesn't go down. So that's a really interesting dynamic that we'll continue to watch there for a little bit. Next is Elizabethtown. You see we're at 482 sales through the 26th. In June, we had 544. In May, 654. So my guess is they're going to finish. They usually do some over 100 per week. So they're going to finish above June, might not quite get to May numbers, but definitely, again, seeing a little uptick in the market, which is always good. And their inventory continues to steadily climb. So you can see at the end, as of last Friday, they were at 622 listings. Just as a comparison, that's basically 50 or so more listings than in the month of June, and over 100 more listings than at the end of May. So it looks like that market in terms of inventory is definitely increasing. In terms of mortgage rates, so last week's mortgage rates, as you remember, we had a little uptick. We got down to 6.81 on the conventional. I think the FHA and VA was at 6.25. So last week it had an ever so slight uptick, but we went back down this week. So 6.81 conventional, 6.25 for FHA, and then 6.28 on the VA. So as all of you know, or what, I guess I should ask questions or give you the answers to the questions really, is why are rates where they are and where are they going? Well, there's a couple of key things that are getting ready to happen. Actually, one of them is tomorrow, and that is the Fed's summer meeting. Happens tomorrow. It's a 2-day. They actually start meeting today. Tomorrow, they'll actually give announcements on, where they think rates are going to go or if they're going to change rates. And I found this just a little headline. It says, will the Fed cut interest rates this week? There's a 90% probability that they won't cut until September, meaning that rates are basically going to stay the same. So I wanted to expand on our conversations a little bit last week and talk about why, so that you understand the economic impacts of it. And then we're going to look at rate cut predictions over the next 4 meetings, basically through the end of the year. And here's a little teaser. It's all really good news. So first is I found this economic report card, just kind of talks about general sentiment and what's going on. This one has to do with the jobs market. And you can see the little arrows underneath where it says 10-year median. The first jobs added or lost, 206 jobs were added. That's slightly down compared to where we were even just last month. This is a good sign for a rate cut. And I'll just tell you what's good or bad in regards to rate cuts. Unemployment rate went up, and we talked about this last week or the week before, but it was at 4.1. So that's trending up. First time that it really broke over the 4 barrier in a little while. So again, that's another good sign for a rate cut. Retail sales basically was pretty much unchanged. Overall, retail sales prices are trending up ever so slightly, with consumer spending basically flatlining as well at 68.2, and I believe that's $1 billion if I remember correctly. So that is really neutral data, those bottom 2 things. Looking at the housing market, as you all know, we talk about this a lot. Interest rates, mortgage rates, are trending ever so slightly down, and we want to continue to maintain that. A Fed cut would help out very much. Let me move this graphic around so that stuff's not blocking that out for you all. Wish I could just get rid of it, but unfortunately, I don't think it'll let me. There we go. And then as far as the economy, CPI reports came out at 3%. That continues to trend down. That's really good news for a potential rate cut. GDP, however, continues to go up. That's gross domestic product. That is the overall status of the economy. Are we growing or are we shrinking? And it's a pretty robust number. If I remember correctly, the first quarter was like 1.8 and we went all the way up to 2.8. So we were trending down and then all of a sudden, and for whatever reason in the second quarter, it kind of trended up. That is the one thing that, in my opinion, is probably going to cause the Fed to not reduce rates tomorrow. Is the economy is just overall still doing really, really well. Looking at more detail on the jobs market, you can kind of see the jobs market report on the left-hand side. There's a little summary up there that you can read, but basically this Friday, the labor statistics are going to be released for July. And what we're hoping to see is, you see this last little sign right here at 200,000. We want to see less than 200,000 jobs created when that report comes out Friday. So don't worry, I'll keep you updated next Tuesday on what actually happens. You don't need to look at it unless you want to, but you'll definitely be updated next Tuesday. As the unemployment rate, we want to see that kind of go up and be around 4.2%. So if those two things happen, basically on Friday, we're going to know. Then, and we'll look at some stats. I can almost guarantee, as close to a guarantee as you can get with government policies and not knowing what the heck they're really going to do, that we're going to get a rate cut in September. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So what else is going on with the economy? Like I said, the GDP continually grows. It was at 2.8%. You can see here, this is the first quarter of the year, and this was right at 1.8 or 1.6%. I can't quite remember the exact number, but then we saw this big jump up. We have been trending down, and this is, again, just to reiterate, this is the main reason we're probably not getting a rate cut tomorrow. It's just because, solely just because of this number. And remember, they don't want to cut rates too fast. That causes us to launch into a overinflation, meaning if they cut rates too fast, GDP is going to go up, unemployment's going to go down, and inflation and CPI is going to go up as well, which means we're going to be stuck on mortgage rates for significantly longer than any of us care to be. So they actually, in my opinion, even though for our industry it's not the greatest, not doing a rate cut right now might be the best thing we can do. Continue to show that the economy is going down ever so slightly. And then y'all have heard that phrase soft landing before. You've heard the Fed talk about it, you've heard me talk about it. I think this is the best chance that we have at actually hitting that soft landing. Also looking at inflation rates. So on the left-hand side, it ticked down from 3.3 all the way down to 3%. This is really good news. So we're continuing to trend. As you know, the Fed wants to have inflation rates around 2%. But one thing is, they've come out and said, Jerome Powell said, he's not going to wait till they get to 2% to start cutting rates, because by that point, it's probably too late and it continues to go down. And we get into a deflation mode, which is something that none of us want. More on that if it should ever look like it's going to happen. The next thing is monthly retail sales. For the most part, fairly unchanged. They went up 0.2%, meaning that more people spent more money. Part of that is we're just in the summer, right? And during the summer, people are working on their houses, they're taking trips, they're buying clothes for school, or upcoming school years, swimming trunks, all that fun stuff. So part of that is probably a little bit of seasonality. Overall, retail sales mostly unchanged. And then there's consumer sentiment, and I put gas prices on here because, y'all have heard me say this before, but you want to know how people feel, how the economy's doing, watch the gas prices. And it's very simply because if gas prices get cheaper, that gives us more money to spend every single month. So instead of filling up the truck or whatever, spending $100, if you're only spending $75 and you fill up once per week, you have $100 more to spend on other stuff. And gas prices has been trending down here recently. A year ago, they were at 3.76%. You can see when this report was pulled on the week of July 29th, so that was just pulled basically Monday, they were at $3.47. Keep in mind, that's a national, that it might not be what we're all paying in our individual areas. Consumer sentiment, this is a scale of 1 to 100 on how does the consumer, general Joe public, feel about how the economy is doing. You can see we came in at 68.2%. Over the last 10 years, we've been at 89.1%. But what I want you to notice is at the end of this graph, we've actually had a fairly sharp downturn as of recently. So what that tells us is that the consumer and all of us, we're feeling it, right? Like it's a little bit harder to go out and make some money. It's a little bit, bills tend to add up, that it's harder to put money back in savings. And this is just the general public, everything that they're feeling, which is why I think that we're really close to those Fed rate cuts that we've been discussing for a couple months now. Looking at 30-year mortgages and existing home sales, I've already went over the mortgage data, but I wanted to include this so when we email it out, it's just more graphics that you could use on social media and in front of your clients. One of the main things I wanted to hit on was on the right-hand side. Obviously, existing home sales continue to trend down, looking at 3.89 million across the nation, and looking at all of our local markets that we just did, pretty much all of them are trending down versus last year, meaning total overall sales in 2024, at least the way it looks right now, is going to finish less sales than 2023. Now, we predict that 2025, we're going to get a little bit of a springboard back up as the rates continue to go down from there. So just wanted you to kind of reiterate that and give you some graphics that you can use. So rate cuts. So there's a website where they actually poll everybody I think there's 13 members that are on the Fed committee, and then they poll another like 50 economists, maybe it's 100 economists, and they basically say, okay, what do you think the rates are going to be at the next meeting? So you can see this meeting at the very top is the July 31st meeting. That's tomorrow. You can see the current rate is 5.25 to 5.50. This is the baseline rate, and there's a 95.9% chance that it stays at 525 to 550. Only 4.1% chance they go ahead and lower tomorrow. So I mean, that's pretty much set in stone. I think that's fairly accurate. Here's where the good news kicks in. For the next meeting, which is September 30th, 89.6% chance that they lower it to 5 to 5.25. That's really good news, actually. And 10% of the people are saying they might even do a half point reduction, which would be awesome. In my opinion, maybe aggressive. I think we're in line with the quarter point of a reduction there. Then looking into the next meeting, which is at the end of November, November 29th, you can see 5 to 5.25, basically 34% say we're going to reduce in September and then stay there and see what happens. But almost 60% say in November, there's another quarter of a point. So now we're looking at a half point by the end of November. And then we have one more piece of data out here, and that is the December 31st meeting, basically the end of December. I don't think they actually meet on December 31st. It's late December, but
18.
yeah, they're calling for a 55% chance that they drop to a 4.5 to 4.75. So there's a 50% chance that we see 3/4 point reduction by the end of the year. Now, my best guess is probably a half point. I would say they're going to take either November or December.
back down to 5.
Yeah. So that gets us a conventional. If they do the 3/4, that gets us right at 6. If they do a half point, that probably gets us a 6.25 from there. But FHA and VA, which a lot, and USDA is part of FHA, keep that in mind. So a lot of the loans that we typically deal with, that's going to have them in the really 5.5-ish range, maybe even 5.75, which is the first significant drop below 6 in some pretty significant time. So what's that mean for you? Buyers should be coming out of the woodwork, right? Because we've struggled with that a little bit. Yeah. So making sure that you're building your pipeline and continuing to have conversations. And all those people are like, hey, I'm just holding off. There's a good chance that these rate cuts come, they're going to be coming back out. Now, we will be in the down season, quote unquote, of real estate, but we all know houses still sell in the wintertime. As a matter of fact, most of your sellers that are selling in the wintertime are the most motivated sellers because they're typically selling for a reason, or else they would hold out until spring. It's just traditionally what we see. So all good news coming on the forefront, all that work, the struggles, everything that we've all gone through and for the past year, it's looking like that's going to start to ease up is the main gist of that. The key points on that is, as long as mortgage rates stay over 6, we're probably going to have slower sales. So we're not going to get there this year looking at all of that data. Probably going to be next year, which is a good sign for 2025, that it looks like we will get rates underneath 6. And then from that point, there's a decent chance we might get back into another housing boom. Maybe not quite at the level of the pandemic when rates were obviously, sub 3, but everybody who's basically just has these 3% rates and is like, hey, I'm not moving if I got to go to a 7 or an 8% rate, will come out for a 5% rate, because that 2% difference isn't significant enough to impact them at a really big level. Home prices mostly are going to hold their values. We don't predict any home prices going down. As a matter of fact, I was meeting with the group yesterday, and we talked about like appreciation. I think homes still appreciate somewhere around 1% throughout the rest of this year, probably up to 2% looking through the first quarter of next year. And then if you forecast out a year, we're probably still at 3 to 4% appreciation. Now, that's all going to be tied to inventory and how many listings hit the market. This year was one of the lowest new listing markets that we've had in the last couple of years. So we'll continue to monitor that and let you know. And then for rentals, for any of you all who deal with rentals or just get asked questions in rentals, there's a ton of multi-unit constructions going on across the nation, especially in bigger cities. But even here, there's a lot of apartment complexes and things like that are on the horizon to be built. So we expect from multi-unit rents to kind of probably go down. But single family housing rentals will continue to kind of trend up at the same rate that they have, because they're not building a whole lot of rental properties as far as new constructions and things along those lines. Mortgage rates will likely range between 6 and 7 unless there's a recession, but short-term lending rates will gradually start falling by the end of 2024, which is what we all just saw inside of those graphics. So that's the market update in terms of the economy, the real estate news, and the mortgage and things like that. I have a couple more things that I want to go over, and then we'll chat a little bit. But does anybody have any questions on any of that stuff that I just went over?
Are y'all awake? Is everybody awake?
I kind of have a question.
Tell me yeah, go ahead.
How big of an interest rate decrease do you recommend a refinance?
Usually if it's a percentage or a percentage and a half,
Yeah, I'd say 1.5% or so.
because it costs money to refi. When they start doing refis again, they'll have like specials running where it's like free closing costs for a refinance or something like that. We get back in the 5s, you'll see lenders come up with that, and then they can refinance and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, one of the powerful things, so it also depends on how long you've owned your home. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. They lived in their home for, I don't remember exactly, but say 7 or 8 years, and they didn't refinance at the 3 when it was at 3%. And they were asking me, hey, if rates get down, they were at like a 5, and like, should rates, if rates were to, or they were at 6.5. If rates get down into the 5, should we refinance? One of the things you want to talk to your clients about is restarting their years.
Yeah.
Because your interest is so front loaded on a mortgage that you want to pay attention to that. And what I actually recommend to most people is, unless you're getting like a significant payment drop and you need that, don't reset if you're over 5 years, unless you're resetting to a 20 or a 25-year mortgage and you can keep your payment about the same, because the front load interest is crazy your first couple years of paying a mortgage. So good question.
So if you re-amortize, you have to start doing the front load interest?
Yeah.
No kidding.
It's with their money.
So the key is to refinance and put yourself on a 10, or put yourself on a 15 if you had a 30.
I did not know that.
Yeah, if not, you're never gonna pay off that mortgage.
Yeah, because if you refinance on the same 30 and you've been paying for 5 years, you now have that, you're 30 years out again. Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
And you'll get a better rate if you shorten the term.
Yeah, you'll get a better rate. So that's the key is, can you afford the rate at 15 years and shorten the term down?
Now, you will come across some people that, have had life happen to them and they need an influx of cash, and that's where the home appreciation can help. And you do like a cash out refi, and maybe in that situation, depending on their personal preferences, then it might be worth it to reset years on them just to get lump sum, like
Ahead.
yeah. Oh yeah, we met with somebody that was going through some health issues and they need a lump sum of cash, and it was like, hey, whatever we're gonna do, we just need this lump sum. So
I got it.
any other questions, Vine? both really good questions.
And everybody knows cash out refinances are not taxable. So that's why a lot of your investors do cash out refis, because you don't have to pay taxes on them. So instead of paying all of the income they make on rentals, it's, you know, there's a whole logic behind doing cash out refis, because the government doesn't tax us at this point. Now, that could change.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff in play that could change.
Yeah, they're trying to change that, to where they do tax you, but so that's why you should pay attention to your politicians and what they're moving for. So if you're in the real estate game. Right.
Okay. All right. I wanted to touch base on a couple of trainings that we have coming up. Our NAR prep workshop. I know it has my picture and my name on there. Me and Kelly are doing that together. So that's going to be at her
Oh,
house.
no, it's you,
That's
all you.
Oh, sweet. I'm good.
Taking all the credit.
I can talk.
Not me.
I mean, I don't make the graphics. I just submit the.
I think it's with Matt Brown.
But that's going to be November 16th. Dang, I better get started.
That
on
is gonna
now.
be a big event. By that time, we should have everything, we should know everything, right? From the real estate commission. So I can't make anything mandatory for you all, but it would be great if we have as much participation at that or at that event, so that we're ready to go into Monday or through the weekend when all the changes happen. So this is another value we're providing y'all, just to make sure you're on top of your game and knowing. And so I can't make anything mandatory or independent contractors, but I suggest that you be there. So.
And we had a couple comments. Yes, that is August 16th. That was purposeful in the date we chose, because August 17th is when all the changes go into official effect. So that was the date. And will we record the event? Yeah, we'll have some sort of recording for it.
Yeah,
in there.
but we would love for you to be there, because we're gonna walk through a bunch of stuff. And obviously, if you have work or something, I understand, but try to do everything you can to kind of be there so that you are ready. So.
Well,
yeah,
I'm married, Chris. I don't care.
So,
Let's see.
will I be streaming it? No, I want y'all in person. As your broker, I want you in person. So,
We'll record it though.
We'll
and then
record
send
it.
it out.
yeah.
Also, our boards are starting to remove percentage on the 13th. What do we do? Also, we have a co-op agreement to submit prior to the showing. So I haven't heard when the boards are going to start removing them
Is that the
officially.
only thing they filled out?
Oh, yeah. Somebody. 1 second here. Okay. So I haven't heard officially when boards are starting to remove. I know some boards have started removing them already. So you will need to, starting on that date, go and get, call the other co-op agents and find out what the co-op percentage is. We do have a form that we will ask all of you to get signed with your listings that basically says the seller is offering X percent of a co-op. We've already submitted that to DocuSign for that to be uploaded. They're templating that now, so we expect to have that probably by the end of this week. So we will have that form, but each different, and we will, that's a good point, Melody. We probably need to create some sort of form for brokerages that don't have that listing form that shares the co-op, that we have an agreement
Melanie.
that, states what it is. Because
Yeah.
what we don't want is verbal. Verbal doesn't mean anything. Agent to agent, verbal, if I contact Rebecca and I say, hey, what co-op are you offering? It doesn't matter if she puts it in writing, doesn't matter if she signs it. That's broker to broker.
Yeah.
That needs to happen at that level. That's what the NAR stated and everything. So we're going to have some, long story short, we'll have a listing form for you. We will go ahead and create some sort of buyer's form. So that way, if you reach out to Jane Doe at XYZ Realty, she says, hey, my seller's offering 2.5%, you'll have a form you can send over to her to have her broker sign to be able to get that.
And we tried to find an in-between spot, E-Town and Owensboro, and we couldn't. So it's at my house. So I know that's travel, but just, do your best to get there. We will record it if you can't make it, but I highly recommend you come.
All right. Also coming up this month, we have multiple other trainings. Move this away. So Bobby's doing his full court press, and we got Anna McKissick, who's going to come in. She's going to be on Zoom, and it's going to be all about lead generation and how do you grow the business. So that's August 7th. That'll be at 12 Central, 1 Eastern time, and that'll be available on Zoom for everybody. And then Ignite After Dark starts August the 6th. So again, we'll send this presentation out, or you can scan those QR codes. There was an issue with the form that as of yesterday afternoon, they didn't have that fixed. So just know if you go to scan this and register for this, then
Yeah.
you might not actually be able to get in until probably tomorrow.
Who's taking Ignite? Okay, so anybody who hasn't taken Ignite, this is your starter course to KW, like into real estate. So I highly recommend that you take, even if you're existing and you just haven't taken it, take it. So Ignite is, what time is it offered? It's at
6:30 Eastern time, 5:30 Central time. And then they're running a West Coast, and I don't know what this conversion is, but, 8:30 Central. So you can do it at 6:30 or 8:30 Central time.
at nighttime. So,
Yeah.
which is great. You can put it on Zoom and listen and kind of follow along. But Ignite is an awesome course. Those that have taken it, what do y'all say about, what do y'all feedback?
It's good basics. As soon as you can, it's a good foundation for building mature.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yep, teaches you exactly what to do, everything from.
and how to say it.
And they're gonna hit on the new buyer consultations. I talked to the person who's running it. She's also a productivity coach. And she's actually in our region. It's she's awesome. So very good teacher. It'll touch base on everything that you need to know and reinforce a
Can I
lot.
say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So as far as Ignite goes, I came in to Keller Williams when this was going on. And I will tell you right now, it was the one thing that I felt made me the most comfortable about trying to get into
Started.
business. I absolutely loved Ignite. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that love Bold, but I absolutely loved Ignite.
Well, thank you, Jamie.
Yep, I loved it too. I did it. I think my first day at Keller Williams just happened to be Ignite's first day, so we started with it as well. And I had been in the industry for 6 or 7 years at that point, and still learned a lot. So,
I love that it's offered at nighttime. So our agents that work during the day, this is perfect for y'all. So,
let's see. Do we have some more chat? Let me just make
Matt,
sure.
what brokerage were you with before?
Just a local mom and pop brokerage here.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Let's see. I'm just getting caught up on questions real quick.
Anna McKissick's awesome. Make sure Bobby's got guests every month, so make sure y'all get to that.
And then the next thing starting up on August 5th is our kickoff meeting for productivity coaching. Of course, I'll be heading up that. And as mentioned before, it's free. So anybody can dive into it. I would encourage, if you are looking for accountability and the ability and knowledge to be able to grow your business, focusing on different lead generation avenues and things like that, and learning how to track your numbers and understanding how your activities lead to results and showings and contracts and closings, then hop in and do that. We're going to do a kickoff meeting on August 5th where we talk about expectations and standards for the productivity coaching program. We take a week off because I'm on vacation, and then start back up every single week after that. So make sure that you tune into that. And again, this is not just, there's a kind of belief that productivity coaching is just for new agents. It's not. It's for anybody. I don't care if you're selling 50 units a year. There will be something inside of there that you can grow from. And that's the one promise that I can make to you as far as what I'm going to deliver. So make sure you check that stuff out. Yeah, good.
So as you can see, we have a lot of trainings, and this can be so pre-COVID, this is what our market center looked like. COVID happened, everybody just went their own ways. We have finally, I'm really grateful for all of you all showing up to this stuff. This is what Matt and I and Bobby love to do, is to teach and to train. And so we have a lot of stuff. So if you're having, as we're throwing a lot at you, if you're having trouble of what do I need to go to, ask one of us. And we, because you can only do things one step at a time. But education is what KW is about. I'm really grateful for our training calendar, and I want to give a shout out to Jesse and to Amber and the marketing team for helping us pull this together. We really condensed it of what we've heard you all say. Again, KW is a training company. We have tons of trainings. we just want you all to be the best equipped. You know, I get a lot of phone calls, Matt gets a lot of phone calls. We put on these training classes so that we can kind of condense a lot of the same questions we get into these trainings. So we really appreciate y'all's participation, and just know that it's here. It's here. If you are wanting to be the student and learn, it's here. So.
Yeah, no, Becca, there's one more training that we're going to be adding. I'll be honest with you, I don't know exactly when I'm going to add it. It's going to be contracts training. So getting back to regular contracts training, I want to launch the productivity coaching program first. Anytime you launch something new, there's a lot of front end work. So I'm doing that now. But in the meantime, if you have any contracts questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I talked to probably 4 different agents over the weekend on various contract stuff, was able to help them out. But I just want you to know that'll be coming. It'll probably be a bi-weekly thing, but we'll let you know on dates on that. It'll be the end of August, no later than September. We'll bring that back in play also.
Yeah. And if anybody, whoever's, obviously we all need to be using DocuSign unless we're paying for Dotloop. But if you do send me a Dotloop form, I do not get notifications. Just, you're not bothering me. Just send me a text that you sent me, like a release or a listing or whatever I need to sign, because my notifications are whacked. I'm still not getting notifications that you send me anything through Dotloop. DocuSign, I'm getting all of that, signing it as quick as I can. But you're not bothering me. You're not bothering me at all. So I get a lot, sorry to bother you. You're not bothering me. That's what I'm supposed to do. But I don't know unless you text me if it's in Dotloop. Okay.
All right. I think that wraps up everything. So we'll see you next Tuesday at 9:30 Central Time and 10:30 Eastern for our next market update. And we're going to get to review all of July numbers. So we'll be able to kind of predict exactly how we think this year is going to play out next week. So appreciate everybody joining. If you're in person, stick around. We got some broker open stuff to go over. All right. See y'all. Have a great day.